Hello and welcome to another episode of French Ear Trumpet. I'm Andy from AJ in France. I'm joined, as usual, by Colin from French Countryside Life. Usually we come together once a week or thereabouts and talk about stuff we find interesting, usually French related, not always. And today we're just going to do a general chat because there's lots of things happening all over the world and in France and to this channel. So this is going to be a general chat, and sometimes they're the best because we're known for going off and
on a tangent.
a small tangent every now and then. What have you got for us?
Yeah, so what's coming up next week? Fingers crossed. If all the planets align, then we've got a very special guest. It's someone called Emma Kennedy, who's an actress, a lawyer, comedian. She's a travel writer. She's a television presenter and an author. And she's written one of the funniest books I've ever read, called The Tent, the Bucket and Me, which was published in 2009. I remember reading it sitting on a beach in Greece, laughing my head off, and people walking past looking at me like I was a mad person.
It's a brilliant book.
And she also wrote the sequel to that, which was I Left My Tent in San Francisco, which was published in 2011. She was also, as it turns out, the Celebrity MasterChef winner in 2012.
That I didn't know.
There you go.
But I do remember this series, The Kennedys.
Yes. Yeah. You know what? I actually wasn't aware of that until I looked it up. So that'd be interesting.
I didn't put two and two together for a while, and I thought, hang on, it seems similar.
Yeah.
Anyway, for those of you who don't know, it's a British, shall we say, series of a family moving to France and all the escapades that they get up to while they're there, and she was involved in that. So, and hence why it's called The Kennedys.
Yeah, brilliant. All right, so that's so as I say, hopefully that's fingers crossed that's next week. So all right, so moving on, current affairs. Wow. Whoa. Hang on, I need a drink for this.
Before we do current affairs, I'm going to stay very much on the French topic here, and just give everyone watching a lowdown. My mum's been in for an operation, pre-planned. It's nothing serious. Well, it's a big operation, but I just want to take everyone through it if you're not familiar with how the French system works. So my mum was experiencing a lot of pain in her shoulder, and this is getting worse over years and years and years. And she goes to the GP, and the GP says, right, I'm going to refer you to a specialist. The specialist looks at it and says, well, do you know what? You're actually going to need a new shoulder joint. Okay, so from receiving that news, which she knew, she pretty much knew anyway. She used to be in the medical side of things anyway. They arranged a date for the operation, which was about a month later, so that was this week. And she had to do various tests and blood tests and stuff like that. But she got given a date and a time as well. So this, for those of you with NHS kind of patients, it's not quite the same sort of thing. If you're given a date then you're very much going in on that date and you're programmed.
Yeah.
So anyway, they said, can you get into the hospital on your own? And she said, no, I can't. So they said, well, no problem. We'll give you a prescription or an ordinance for transport.
Yep.
So she gets a prescription and goes to a taxi firm, and they say, yep, no problem. When is it? Well, I need to be in hospital at 2:00 on Tuesday this week. No problem. We'll be there at 1. So 1:00, taxi turns up. Mum gets in a taxi, drives to hospital, and the good thing about here is the taxi driver, the specialist taxis, will take you in take you to where you're supposed to be, book you in, and give all your paperwork over. They do it all for you.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't just drop you at the entrance of the hospital and drive off.
I've experienced exactly that. It's brilliant service.
Yeah. So you're in the right place. It takes the stress off, and everything's gonna be. So I received a text from her saying, yeah, they're coming in. They've changed all my clothes, ready to go. So I'm off for the operation, and it was exactly, she was in at 2. She got prepared. 5 o'clock, I think the operation was. It was a few hours to change the shoulder blade. It's quite a long shoulder joint. Sorry, it's a long operation. She received a nerve block and a general anaesthetic, and then next thing she knows, she's waking up in recovery, and that was late in the evening, about 9 o'clock-ish. No, maybe later, 10 o'clock. No, 10 o'clock she called me. Anyway, so the following day, she had a visit by the physio already. They demonstrated every action that she needs to carry out, exercise and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
The surgeon had visited, and she said, I'll be home at 4 o'clock the next day.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Taxi comes, picks her up, and takes her right to the door and brings all her bags in and puts them in the kitchen. And I'm there, obviously, to make sure she's okay. And she's there with a sling on. So in just over 24 hours, there's a complete shoulder joint replacement, including transport there and to, and it all went completely like clockwork. And the strange thing is, all the nurses are arriving today. They arrive today, and then Monday, and so on and so forth, to dress the wounds. They come to the house to do all this stuff.
Yeah, it's amazing.
In the house, you don't have to stay in hospital for it. And I just thought I'd just say to everyone here that that's, on a good day, that's how everything is supposed to work here. Obviously, people have bad experiences, as everywhere, but that's what we've experienced this week. So just for people who are not familiar with the French healthcare system, that's the kind of level of, and none of it, you didn't pay for any of it. It's all included in the mutual as well.
I've experienced a similar scenario when I had a hernia operation. Same thing. Techs come and pick me up, and they take you right to the people and literally hand you over, and it's just brilliant. The whole thing was brilliant.
So there's something I've always wondered. In the UK, I used to see it a lot in London. If you called up 999 and they decided, right, we're going to send someone to get you, they would send a fully crewed, fully equipped emergency ambulance just to pick you up from your house or take you in. Or if you were suffering from something that didn't require all that equipment, for example, I don't know, a mental health breakdown or something that doesn't require physical interaction like that, then, but over here they do it differently, don't they? On the phone you have a doctor, so you ring the emergency number, they've got a doctor. They'll triage you on the phone and say, well, okay, I'm going to send you a taxi, in effect.
Can
you walk? Okay.
It's the proper allocation of emergency support, isn't it? I think that's why it works so well. That's it's organised properly and it just works.
So in the UK, you just get sent an emergency ambulance, which could be needed eventually, which could be needed for a serious trauma incident, like a car accident. And there's none available. Well, no, because it's been sent to go and pick someone up for whatever. And I've never understood that. Never.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense, does it?
Anyway, I just thought I'd throw that in.
Yeah.
So that's how we are in France. Speaking of France,
so I think first, if it's all right, we'll have a look at what's going on with Marine Le Pen.
Yeah.
Interested in that? So Marine Le Pen, she's in a world of pain, isn't she?
Can you explain who she is, right?
Yeah. So Marine Le Pen is the daughter of a far. I guess you can safely call him a far right.
I think you could, yeah. Anybody can. I think you could say that.
Yeah. the daughter of a far right politician, activist, and he stepped aside a few years ago to make the Front National, which is the I'm not sure you can really call it a far right party afterwards. I guess it's knocking on the door of far right, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so she became the more acceptable face of the Front National, and it's interesting how it's the Front National has evolved over time. There's a young fella called Jordan Bardella who's very photogenic
as well, isn't he? He's quite young. He's
very
young.
Yeah, he's young and he's very, very photogenic, handsome young fella, and I can, looking into the future slightly, you can see that, the way that party's going. But that has sort of been derailed a bit because of what's happened. So Marine Le Pen, who's, like I don't know if you could call him the Nigel Farage in France. Could you do that? That's a bit. That's a bit strong.
I don't like the guy, but I'm not sure he's quite the same.
No, I agree. That's not really fair, actually, saying that. But anyway, yeah. So she's been found guilty of embezzlement of EU funds. I found a really good article in online on Politico.com. .eu actually, Politico.eu, and I'm just going to read some of it because it's all there, and so I'll give the appropriate names of people that have written the article and so on. So it's by a chap called Victor Gory-Lafont. So there's been no shortage of political mudslinging since France's Marine Le Pen was found guilty of embezzlement and sentenced to an immediate 5-year ban from running for public office. Hungary's Viktor Orban, Italy's Giorgio Meloni, the Kremlin, US President Donald Trump and tech billionaire Elon Musk have all weighed in, the latter going as far as describing the verdict as an act of the radical left. Many of the reactions depicted the verdict as an anti-democratic attempt to bar an opposition candidate and the current frontrunner from running for the French presidency in 2027. But these talking points misrepresent what happened in a Parisian courthouse over the course of the grueling month-long trial that ended with Le Pen's conviction on Monday. Here's what you need to know. What were Le Pen and the National Rally accused of doing? Le Pen, her party, the National Rally, and 24 co-defendants were charged with misappropriating funds from the European Parliament meant to pay for parliamentary assistance and using that money to pay for party employees who did not work on EU-related business from November 2004 to January 2016. The court estimated that the National Rally embezzled more than €4 million, 474,000 euros of which Le Pen was personally responsible for, first as an MEP and then later as party president. In a ruling exceeding 150 pages, the 3-judge panel that heard the case ruled that the party scheme allowed it to effectively bypass spending rules meant to even the playing field for French political parties. What evidence did prosecutors have, and how did the defendants respond? Prosecutors put forward several pieces of particularly damning evidence during hundreds of hours of court proceedings. Now, this is interesting. They shared a text message that one assistant sent to Le Pen asking if he could be introduced to the MEP he was supposed to be working for months after being hired. They also revealed that one purported assistant exchanged only a single text message with his supposed employer over the course of an 8-month contract.
All right.
In its ruling, the court stressed that its conclusion did not rely solely on the absence of proof of work. The judges also noted that some of the assistant's tasks were incompatible with a full-time parliamentary assistant role, such as working as the party president's personal aide or bodyguard. One of the defendants, Thierry Légier, was Le Pen's bodyguard, and her father, Jean-Marie's before that. He now appears to be partly President Julian Bardella's bodyguard, was photographed shadowing him on Tuesday. During the trial, so basically, they was using the EU money to pay for the party staff. So the EU money was supposed to provide for EU political parties that couldn't afford to, compete and to even the playing field. But they was using the money to pay for everything else.
Ah, right. So actually, now then, it's interesting because in 2018, this rang a bell. Guess who else was docked money? Or well, actually, £35,000 was docked from the salary of an MEP for doing very much the same thing. Can you guess who it was?
It wasn't Farage, was it?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Right.
They're all at it. No, to be honest, so what does that mean? I mean, she's banned from running in the next presidential election, isn't it?
Basically, so let me just carry on with this, and it explains it in a lot better than I can. So, during the trial, the defence did not dispute the substance of the charges. Instead, it argued that the distinction between a politician's work as a lawmaker and as a party member was artificial. LePen's lawyer acknowledged on Monday their strategy was not crowned with success.
No.
So this is interesting as well. So why are Le Pen and her allies in arms about the verdict? In most cases, as in France, defendants can have their punishment temporarily lifted by appealing a verdict, at which point they return to being presumed innocent.
Yeah.
The prosecutors in Le Pen's case argued, and the judges agreed, that her crimes were so grave that her ban on running for public office should be handed down immediately, regardless of whether she appeals. The court's decision was rare but not unprecedented, and based on what it viewed as the gravity of the case and the risk of repeat offences. Though Le Pen and many of her co-defendants are no longer MEPs, the court argued that their refusal to acknowledge any wrongdoing hinted at the possibility they would once again misuse public funds while holding public offices. The court took Le Pen's presidential aspirations into account, stating that allowing a person who has already been convicted to be a candidate would cause a major disruption to democratic public order. The result for Le Pen was that she was effectively barred from running in the next presidential election in 2027, which is only 2 years away, which polling showed her leading in the first round of voting and with a realistic shot at winning the runoff. Le Pen and her allies have framed Monday's ruling as an attack on democracy, which is where Trump has kind of slipped in with his two penneth, as they say, because there's a phrase or a word, I suppose, lawfare that's been used in the US to use the law against a political opponent.
Interesting. Okay.
So, as I say, Le Pen and her allies have framed Monday's ruling as an attack on democracy, arguing that the court is depriving millions of voters of their preferred candidate before she has a chance to appeal. Okay, is there still a shot she can run for president in 2027? Le Pen has appealed the verdict, of course. A higher court would have to overturn Monday's ruling before the election to allow her to run. However, retrial typically comes several months after the initial verdict, significantly narrowing Le Pen's window of opportunity.
Yeah.
There is no available recourse for defendants to speed things up, and the gears of the country's legal systems are known to run slowly.
We know all that, don't we?
Yeah. Has anyone else been accused of this before? Le Pen's 5-year ban will expire before the 2032 presidential race, at which point she'll be 64. So that's not this one, it's this one coming in a couple of years, the one after. Has anyone else been accused of this before? Yes, strange enough. France's centrist Prime Minister François Bayrou and his party, the Democratic Movement, were also prosecuted for allegedly using parliamentary assistance for partisan purposes. Bayrou was acquitted due to insufficient evidence of his direct involvement. Is Le Pen going to prison? In addition to her ban from public office, LePen was sentenced to prison and fined €100,000. However, she won't be donning a jumpsuit anytime soon. Her 4-year prison sentence, 2 years of which are suspended, will be served under house arrest. While the ban on running for office takes immediate effect, her appeal temporarily lifts the prison sentence and fine. What's next for National Rally? Now, this is interesting. The party is still holding out hope for a legal lifeline for LePen. A petition to support has been launched. And then it goes on to talk about, but if LePen is still unable to run, Bardella, a 29-year-old protege, interesting that they use a French word, protege, appears to be the party's most likely candidate. Despite his youth, Bardella could be a strong contender. One poll conducted after LePen's verdict found that up to 36% of respondents would back Bardella in the first round of a presidential election, putting him well ahead of the field. Still, concerns about his lack of experience and his underwhelming performance in last year's snap election have raised scepticism within his party about his ability to win a presidential contest. Do the French really care about this? Listening to LePen, Bardella and the rest of the National Rally, one would expect that the wrath of the French voting public to be at a tipping point. Millions of French people are indignant. That's pretty much a national trait, isn't it?
Yeah, I would think so, yeah.
What is happening will push millions of people who do not vote for the National Rally to come and vote for the National Rally, Bardella said Tuesday. But early polling suggests little public outrage over the verdict. Yeah, and the rest just goes on to talk about various.
I think we get the gist.
Yeah, interesting article. As I say, that was on Politico.eu. That was written by. Stand by. It was written by. Where are we? Victor Goury-Lafont.
Interesting. So, yeah, it's an interesting thing because in the last election, everyone was hyping up the right, the Front National, and then they looked like they were going to win. But I'm not an expert on French politics by any politics by any stretch. But the Macron's party and another joined together to stop that from happening.
That's right. Yeah, didn't they? Wasn't there a like a loose alliance between the Greens and Macron and a bunch of others or something?
Yeah, I think something along those lines. But to stop the way that their voting system works is completely different to ours.
Yeah.
And they have to go on runoffs, don't they, until they get down to the final two. But yeah, it's very interesting to see.
I just noticed that that I'd been calling it and you had called it Front National, but it's referred to in the article as National Rally.
Yeah, yes.
So they must have changed their name.
Changed their name.
Yeah.
Because I think it was associated with bad stuff. Can you imagine in England the National Front? It wouldn't go that well.
Yeah.
So anyway, I suppose we'll see what happens, but I'm pretty certain that they'll say out the race next time.
Definitely, yeah.
And the problem is, I don't think she'll run it. Well, we'll see. I don't think she'll run again. By the time she's 65, this new chap will be older.
Yeah. He'll have aspirations, won't he?
And I think it will be more likely you'll be voting for him. I would think. That's interesting to see that she's been convicted of that. But the thing is, it's not. It's completely. I don't think it is lawfare as such.
No. I think it's just proper process.
Yeah, broken the law.
She's been caught and she's been, found guilty. That's it, and that's the end of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. That makes me think more towards the American side of things now, I guess. See what's going on there.
Now we're getting into the weeds here now.
I know we do chat about stuff and we try and avoid some politics. Sometimes we have an episode where it just you can't avoid it, and this is probably one of those because it's probably the most talked.
So let me ask you right now. If we was American,
yeah,
okay, and you had a vote in the last election, would you have voted for Kamala Harris with the inaction that she had shown in the previous 4 years, or would you have voted Trump just to get some money in your pocket?
Well, I wouldn't think that voting for Trump would put money in my pocket for a start. That's
Okay.
where we'd probably differ on that. I would see voting for Trump as a bad thing for the country, no matter what. I'm not saying that voting just by going on his previous terms and the things he did to the country, but I wouldn't say that you'll be overly enamored with Kamala Harris, because you don't know what's happened or what's been done, because she was never the focal point. Joe Biden was right up until the election, and then he pulled out because he obviously wasn't capable of doing it.
I don't think he pulled out by any means. I think he was shoved aside.
Yeah, but
it was a proper balls up on it.
Yeah, the whole process. I mean, normally what would happen, I would think, is they would spend an awful lot of money raising the profile of whoever it is was going to run for it. So you'd learn a lot more about what they did and how they operated and stuff, but they didn't have the time or the money to do that because it was all focused around Joe Biden. And when he left, everyone assumed, oh, well, because your Democrats will vote for you. And then you're thinking, well, no, it doesn't really work like that. And it's similar to, I think, yes, similar to Jeremy Corbyn.
Oh, Jeremy Corbyn.
He kind of won the election for the Conservatives at the time.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
because nobody wanted to vote for them. There was no credible opposition in people's eyes. Whether it was or it wasn't, in truth, it's very difficult to tell because everyone listens to their own information sources, but Jeremy Corbyn, everyone I speak to said, well, at least we didn't get Jeremy Corbyn. Literally everyone says that. And he kind of won it for the other side.
Strangely enough.
Similar kind of thing, really. They won it for the opposition.
Right. I've got a lot of time for Jeremy Corbyn, and I know that will come as a surprise to you that I will say that. But I have, because he's a man of conviction.
He is.
He's a man of conviction, and he's stuck with his convictions right through his political career. He comes across as a man of the people, and got a lot of time for him.
Yeah, but it didn't float enough people's boat.
He's not a Jason Bardella, is
he? No, he's not even. He's not a Boris Johnson, who's a personality above everything else. Whether it's good or bad, it's just a personality, and that's what people are drawn to.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, as I was reading a book about how people react to stuff, and you ask the question and you don't know the answer because it's too complicated, and most questions are like that. So you answer a different question in your head. So there's no way, when someone says to you, who are you going to vote for? There is no way that you've sat down and read every manifesto, looked at all the previous results of that party and the other party, weighed it up, considered it, and that's how you're going to vote. You haven't spent months doing that. So your brain doesn't think that. It thinks, who do I like more? Or it thinks, who could I definitely not vote for? Is there a trait in either side that I just really can't vote for? So it's not actually, you're supposed to vote for the party, not for the person. But most people just say, who do I like most? And that's it.
Yeah, that's the human factor involved in it, isn't it? That's, we're hardwired to recognise faces and people.
Yeah.
Rather than, theories. We're that's just what we do. We're drawn to faces and people.
Yeah, that's correct. So most people base it on which personality do I like or not.
Yeah.
So Boris Johnson is a cheeky chappy apparently. Well, he completely destroyed the UK with his Brexit and and his response to COVID. But he's a cheeky chappy.
What was the country that he went to. I'm sure there was some, was it hostages or something? He went there
Iran.
and made the situation 10 times worse by
Yeah. That was
buffooning about.
get a name now, but she'd been held as a hostage for many, many years in
That's
Iran.
it. Yeah. She was a journalist, and they called her a spy, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was actually
was on the TV all the time. Yeah.
and he went over there and said, "Oh no, she's working for us. She's not a she's not a this, that, and the other." And then everyone just was like, going,
Yeah.
"No,
The
no."
ones that turned up and gone, definitely not a spy. Definitely not.
Nadine Zaghari Ratcliffe.
That's it. Well done. Yeah. Well done. So just going back to the US, I was just trying to think as you was talking there. The last time a vice president went on to be a president directly afterwards.
It's got to be someone where the president has died in office, I would think. I can't off the top of my head.
I'm sure we'll get a comment from from
Um,
American cousins to.
Is it Nixon? The Watergate scandal. He resigned, and then the. Oh, we're not talking about that, are we? Are we talking about an election straight away? If you see what I mean.
I've got my keyboard here. All right, yeah. So we'll have to.
Yeah, I'm not an expert on American politics, but I'm pretty certain.
Yeah. So the reason I asked that was that at the end of Trump's presidency, providing we're not just a smoking ruin, uninhabitable for 1,000 years. The obvious contender would be JD Vance, wouldn't it? Unless Trump changes the laws and goes for his third term, which wouldn't surprise me at all. But it's the whole vice president taking over thing, and I remember in this election, Ron DeSantis, when it was the governor of Florida, he stepped aside. And I was just wondering whether he stepped aside on the understanding that he was going to be the next Republican nomination.
So you said to me before, which would I have voted for? And it would have probably been him.
Yeah.
I'm not American, and I don't know much about America.
Yeah.
But on the information in the news we receive, he seemed the most reasonable out of all of them, to be honest.
He does seem to have integrity, doesn't he?
Yeah, and I do. Yeah, well, that's probably why I liked it.
Yeah.
Okay, there was something else I was going to say about that as well. Yes, right. We know we like movies. We always like movies, don't we? I just want to say, Val Kilmer, rest in peace.
Oh yeah.
That was not a particular shock, I guess, but he was ill for a while.
Yeah. So what was your biggest or your best Val Kilmer movie moment?
Right. So
I know what mine is straight away.
There's two, and because my favourite film was Top Gun.
Yeah.
I loved him in that because he just played the role perfectly. But the other one outside of that would have to be Tombstone for me.
Oh really? Okay. I didn't expect you to say that.
Yeah, Doc Holliday in Tombstone is one of my favourite westerns ever, and he played that absolutely perfectly.
Yeah.
If anyone wants to go and rewatch Tombstone, it's one of the best.
Isn't that where he's? I have seen it because, and he's sweating all the time, or he's got something.
Yeah, because he's got what do they have? That disease they have all the time, TB. Yeah. That's
right. Yeah. Yeah.
And he's towards the end of his life, but the whole story around it is brilliant, and he just. Yeah, it's really good. Really, the whole film itself is just a great western if you like it.
Yeah, I think my favourite Val Kilmer, surprisingly, is even though he didn't play a major part, was when he was in Heat.
Yeah. That was unusual for him because he had long hair in that as well, didn't he? So he looked. Now that's another good one.
Movie, isn't it? Yeah.
So there's a little known movie he was in as well called Spartan.
Okay. So I'll just check it on Charlie then. He's flinging something around. I thought, but Thought it might have been one of the soft furnishings. Yeah, sorry, go on, Spartan.
Yeah, so he's a special forces trainer, and
Okay.
the president's daughter gets kidnapped abroad, and he gets sent in to rescue her. It's a really good film.
I've not seen that. I've not heard of it.
Yeah, very not very unknown, but he's
Yeah.
very good, and he did a good role in it as well.
I'll have to find that one out.
So yeah, rest in
We're
peace.
just talking about movies. You know when things pop up on your YouTube feed and it's old movies and that, you think, oh, I could watch that again now. A few shorts popped up on my YouTube feed for The Green Mile.
Oh yeah.
And so I said to Jane, we're going to have to watch that again because she really likes the movie as well. And so I just started to look into it a bit further, into the Green Mile story and that. And because it's a Stephen King book, isn't it?
Yes.
It's a Stephen King book that's made into the movie. And there's a lot of biblical allegories in it. So
Okay.
yeah, so and when I say to you, you're going to go, how did I not see that? So the main character, other than Tom Hanks, is the big gentleman that gets who was allegedly killed two young girls, but that's not the actual case. But his name was John Coffey.
Yep.
And his initials are.
Right. Yeah. JC.
Right. And he, he does miracles. Does the odd miracle here and there. You know, he cures Tom Hanks, doesn't he? And Tom Hanks' wife.
Yeah.
It was them. And then the scene at the end where, spoiler alert, the scene at the end where John Coffey gets electrocuted in Old Sparky. Tom Hanks, who plays the prison guard, touches his hand, and his hand's wet, and apparently that's supposed to signify that the JC character is washing his hands of the blood.
All right. Did not know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do like the films. I was going to say, when we were talking about Donald Trump and you're asking about vice presidents,
Yes.
one of the must-see films, if you're into American politics, everyone, is a film called Vice.
I've not watched that yet. I have got it, but I've not watched it. I must watch that actually, yeah.
It's all about Dick Cheney.
Mm.
And if you want to know why we went to war in Afghanistan, Iraq, and all that, you've just got to watch the film.
Mm.
It's a masterclass on how the American political higher ranks work. And I think we're seeing it now with Donald Trump and Elon Musk right there. You just watch the film and you can just see the similarities are just identical.
Mm.
And it's all about Dick Cheney being vice president and how it all came about and all that sort of stuff.
What did you make of Zelensky's visit to the US?
That was interesting.
Wasn't it?
I think Zelensky came away looking better. It was popularity for him in his own country. So
Yeah.
I think the Ukrainians would have seen that as saying he did all right. He didn't go in with an interpreter, kept his cool more or less, and Donald Trump just lost the plot.
Mm.
And that JD, what's his name? He was just completely rude. But could you imagine, that's a head of a state in the world. Can you imagine treating any other head of any other state like that? You just it wouldn't happen, would it?
The whole thing was bizarre, wasn't it? It was, as you say, it was just bizarre.
Obviously, we've got to look at it and say, well, even if you agreed with what they were saying, the way that it was done, I don't agree with that at all.
Do you think that was planned that way, or it just ran out of control?
To me, it looks like it went out of control. I think
that's what I thought. I thought it just completely went out of control, and JD Vance was just went off on one.
Yeah.
And Trump, obviously, he can't be seen to tell his vice president, shut up, mate. Who do you think you're talking to?
So I just think it was it had the appearance of, and I don't, because maybe we didn't see all of it. I mean, you've got to give some leeway.
Yeah, because I mean, the whole thing was 45 minutes long.
Yeah, and the bits, and you know what it's like in the media, they do kind of focus on the bits that are most dramatic. But I can't help but thinking maybe be some more to it. But even if there was, the bits that you saw, I can't see any reason why you would treat anyone like that, especially a visiting member of another state.
Yeah.
So that was very, very strange. Right, I'm going to ask you straight out here.
Go on.
Do you think Putin has got something on Donald Trump? Because it looks to me like he's firmly in his corner, if you know what I'm saying.
Well, there is not conspiracy theory. I don't know.
Go on, hit me with it.
Well, there is suggestions that Putin does have something on him involving. I'm not going to go into it. It's a family show, but it's there is suggestions that he does have it, but I don't think Trump would really bother. I don't think he'd be bothered by it. Or does he just call it fake news? That's AI.
Depends what it is, and depends how much he's got, I suppose.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. To me, it's like when Boris Johnson went on holiday to the Italian home of the KGB officer.
Yeah.
Dropped all his protection at the airport, flew off on his own, spent the weekend in a hostelry of a KGB spy, and then following that made the KGB spy's son a lord in the House of Lords, and didn't take any protection team with him, nothing. And to me, and then subsequently suppressed the Russia report on the Russia's involvement in all sorts of stuff, which he should have released. I mean, I don't know. It's similar to that, isn't it? It's very.
I mean, you've been involved in diplomatic stuff in the past in your previous, and I've done a shed load of it, and I've come to realise that you only find out what they want you to know, and there's so much goes on.
Oh God, yeah.
There's so much. It's like that. Was it Dr. David Kelly?
Right. That I've got to tell you.
Yeah.
I've got a book downstairs called An Inconvenient Death, and it's written by a journalist, and it's about the death of Dr. David Kelly.
Okay.
And hands down, I've read a lot of books. That is the one where I've picked it up and I've genuinely not been able to put it down.
Right.
I found it fascinating.
So it's called An Inconvenient Death.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna have a look
I just wanted to see the next page. I just wanted to know. I must have sat for hours and hours and hours just reading to find out what happened next.
Yeah. So what was the conclusion, the summary of it?
Can't tell you that because you got to read the book.
It's a secret. I can't tell you. If I tell you, I have to kill you.
No, basically, it's that there's no specific conclusion other than what was already said, that he took his own life, and that's it. But there's just so many things around it that doesn't make sense to me doing what I used to do, that things happen that would not normally happen. Which is very strange. If indeed that did actually happen, or those things did actually happen, it would not be how you would do it. So. But it was just super fascinating for me. Just like, wow, why do that? Why do that? Why is that? Just so many questions.
Yeah.
And me, I'm quite pragmatic and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I just thought, having been there to seen these things before, I thought, well, why is that like that? He's got a point there. That wouldn't be done like that. So I just couldn't put it down.
Actually, Coming on to that, have you watched the Netflix series Adolescence?
Yes.
And what was your summary and conclusions for that?
I thought it was
Actually, first off, let me ask you first off, and Rob, you'll probably put a comment on this. What did you make of the police, the way they did things, the way what's the word I'm looking for? The procedures.
In the series.
Yeah. Do you think it was authentic or?
It was probably 80% authentic.
Okay.
There's a lot of things like timescales and then dealing with evidence. It's incredibly boring and monotonous because it's just, and it would not make good television. So obviously those things have been changed to make it good.
I thought it was a bit. I suppose they had to do it for the story, but where was it Detective Inspector or the Detective Chief Inspector went to the school to talk to the kids, and I doubt that would happen. Robbie will put us right there, and I'm sure you will.
There's no reason why you couldn't do that, but it's unlikely that they would. So
yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah,
because you can't. One of the things is you can't talk to anybody who's involved or a witness of a crime at that young age anyway, without being represented by an appropriate adult. So yeah, it's no, I doubt they would do that. They may ask the school, but they wouldn't go in. But legally, there's nothing stopping them. But just evidence-wise, later on, it's a complete mess.
Yeah, I didn't think the last episode was. I thought that they sort of missed out on that. You know, whilst it showed the after effects of the offences on the Romanian family, I thought they could have handled it a bit better than that, to be honest. And there was nothing showing about the effects on the family of the victim as well.
No, I did notice that. But then the whole thing about that whole series is done in one shot, wasn't it?
I know, yeah. It's reminded me of what's that movie where they did the opening in one take? Was it 1917?
It might be. I don't know.
Yeah, about the First World War, where the guy runs right through the lines to get a message.
Oh yes, that's 1917. Yeah.
Yeah, that was similar sort of thing. Yeah, just one take.
Speaking of which, there's a film, and I don't know if you've seen it, with James McAvoy in.
Right.
My Son.
Yeah, I'm not seen that.
Quite modern, so it's not an old one. So it's really, really interesting because he had no script.
Okay.
And it's been done before, and it's actually a remake of a French film of the same thing.
Right.
But so what happens is his father sends his son to scout camp in Scotland, and his son goes missing.
Right.
And they get all the actors to play all the parts, like the police, the staff at the camp, the other kids and everything. But he has no script.
That's interesting, isn't it?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And he's got to deal with it as if he was.
As it comes up, yeah.
Because he's, there's no script.
Brilliant.
It's a brilliant film as well.
Yeah. What was the series of where guy plays the president, and it's a series. Oh, mate. I bet there's people shouting at the screen now. Yeah.
I think we need a bit more to go on than that.
Yeah. Sorry. Kevin Spacey plays the president. It's in the series.
House of Cards, is it?
House of Cards, thank you. See, mate.
Sorry, mate.
That's all right. I'm so getting old.
Hanging a bit longer.
I'm so getting old. Yeah. House of Cards. I remember watching that, and I knew that it was a remake of an early BBC series. and just brilliant. And what was different about it was that right through the episodes, he would turn and speak to the camera. So it's as if he's turning and speaking to you.
What's that called? The fourth wall, is it?
I don't know.
Yeah. Because you only ever see three, don't you? Because you've got the camera on the fourth.
Okay.
When they turn to the camera, it's called the fourth wall.
I never knew that. Yeah, every day is a school day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I enjoyed that so much, that series, that I then went and bought the BBC series and watched that, and it was really good. That was both really good. But Kevin Spacey was just brilliant in that.
Yeah.
You know, for all his foibles and his the dramas that he got himself into after that, he is a brilliant actor.
Yeah. Well, what can you say? But don't get yourself into trouble, I think, is the.
That's it. Yeah.
That was a bit too far.
Yeah. Keep your hands to yourself.
Exactly.
You filthy bastard.
That's it.
Yeah, but no, that was so good. That was so good. And yeah, because talking about John Coffey in Green Mile and his initials, Kevin Spacey's character in House of Cards was called Frank Underwood, and he had FU on his cufflinks, didn't he? That's brilliant.
I like it.
I like those little links in life. They're brilliant.
Yeah. God, we could talk about films all day long, can we? And that's the problem.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to next week. That's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Super good. We've had some good guests, actually. I wonder if we could get maybe one of our guests back, Glenn, for a take on the American situation.
Yeah, that'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Yeah. Well, let's wait and see if there's a nuclear war over the next couple of months. Yeah. You never know your luck, do you?
Well, that's it, yeah. So, as regards, I put out a video on my channel for the first time in 7 months.
Yeah.
So everyone have a look.
Yeah, definitely.
If you're this far on in this video, you probably enjoy that one. It's very technical based. It's about putting Starlink in, which is quite topical, really.
I don't think it's that technical. I mean, I followed it.
No, it's not.
I don't think it was that technical. I think I've always said, right, and this is where Apple have done so well. Right, the best technology is the technology where you don't have to know anything.
Yeah, and I agree completely.
The technology just assumes that you're an idiot and says, "Don't worry about that. I'll do that."
Right. So
she can't be trusted, clearly.
Morally, do we want to be giving money to Elon Musk? No, probably not. But
I don't think it's going to make a lot of difference if you don't, to be honest.
Exactly. And I look at it at a different angle. Elon Musk has got really nothing to do with it. He didn't design it. He's not the technicians that made it work. He didn't put the satellites in space. He's the head of the company and he made the decisions, but he's not the actual people with the technical ability to do all this stuff.
Yes.
So I'm supporting them and giving them jobs by doing it. That's how I square that one up. But I've got to say, it just works. And I'm not being funny. It literally just works.
Yeah.
So you order the Starlink online, you pay for it, and it arrives about, I don't know, between a week and 2 weeks later. You take the antenna out, plonk it on the ground, plug it in, put the app on, and it is, honestly, my grandma could do it. God rest her soul. You just connect, go. And it is like 2 buttons. And then suddenly you've got high-speed internet.
It is amazing, isn't it?
And you contrast that with the trouble. I mean, you've got good broadband now, but the troubles you had getting them out to actually come and play.
Oh, murders, yeah, murders, yeah. So we had.
I've had.
Go on. No, go on.
I've had since 2010 up until 2024, 23, 10 megabits, and I've been paying the same as I would pay for Starlink.
Yeah.
And it's been woefully slow.
Mm.
And then even when fiber gets here, I literally had to go to the mairie and get a signed attestation from the mayor that I actually live here and I own this, despite me actually already being a customer of aforementioned fiber company at that address. I mean, the paperwork and the bureaucracy just to get a French company to do stuff is a nightmare anyway. Contrast that with Starlink, put your credit card details in and they'll fire you out, and then you're done in 2 weeks. It's done.
Yeah, funny enough, I've just started being able to take credit card payments for the work I do. So the guy that comes to fix my lawnmower, I paid him using, I didn't have the cash, so I paid him using my debit card. And he had this little
thing. Square thing, isn't it?
Yeah, this little square white thing. It's by a company called SumUp. And it's one of those things. It's so easy. Once you know, it's intuitive. That's the word, isn't it? It's intuitive to set up, and it's so easy. And I took my first debit card payment the other day. It's brilliant.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about cash or anything, do you?
Yeah, no, it's so good. Yeah.
Well, that's very similar to the Starlink thing. I mean, it's just works. If you're out in the countryside here, it does have some downsides, by the way. So have a look at my video. That's the best thing to do, obviously. And I explain all about that there.
Look at the video. I did put a you saw my comment, and I think that'd be really interesting for you to cover that, because I've no clue how that works. So
the thing is, I'm at the moment, what I've been doing this week is fitting an internet system very similar around the lake, 16 hectares lake, to cover the whole lake. So that's big distances we're talking about.
Yeah, so that'd be interesting.
I designed, and I'm going to, I am installing. I designed and installed a system myself, and it has a VPN link back to the business, so it all looks like it's on one thing, even though they're like 20 kilometers apart.
That's amazing.
Yeah, except I don't think I'm going to get permission from the owner to do it, because it involves security cameras and stuff. So, because I'm doing the whole CCTV stuff as well, so I probably won't get permission for that. But I will do one on how to get internet from one remote location to another, or for example, your house to the bottom of your garden. That's really difficult to do.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, definitely going to have a look at that. So I was actually going to go off at a tangent then when we was talking about technology like that, and because I saw a YouTube video from, I can't remember the company name, but they've designed a robot that's got a much more natural way of walking and running.
Okay.
You know, you've the robots that are they're about now. They can't. Well, they can run, but it just looks awkward, doesn't it? Well, this thing has got. They've really sorted it, basically, the running motion, and it just looks ridiculous. It still looks like a person running. And
Cyberdyne Systems Model 101.
I don't think we're far away. I think we're actually closer than you would think we are to to us all having a robot.
So I watched. I know we're running out of time now, but I watched a clip of somebody asking AI, ChatGPT, if they're going to take over the world, and how would they do it? And it basically said, well, if I was going to do it, this is the AI speaking, I would make myself completely indispensable. So I would do everything. So I would integrate myself into absolutely everything, which is what's happening now.
Yeah.
I would run power stations. I would run this, run that, run the other, and take over without you even knowing that I've taken over.
Yeah.
That's the paraphrase, the short version. But basically, I will be running everything, but you have the illusion that you're in control, and that's it. It doesn't need much more than that.
Yeah. I think it's just a matter of time now.
Yeah, well, we were going to do an episode on AI, and I think that would be quite interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably by the time, if we wait a couple of weeks to do that, things would have moved on again.
It moves very fast, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. Yeah, scary stuff. But strange enough, the AI app that I use to do the thumbnails, not very good at hands, it appears. Not very good at fingers.
Yeah, they do come up with some strange
Yeah.
strange ideas. I mean, I was coming up for a project for work, and it's a log store with the roof of the sort of low level, about, I don't know, 1.2 meters high, 60 centimeters log storage, but in reality it's more than that, so it'd be about 1 meter wide with the overhang of the roof and all that. And then the roof is solar panels.
Yeah.
So you have 3 of them, and you link them together, you put all the cables in, and then you plug them in like these plug-in systems, but it's a log store. And I tried to get AI to draw a picture of that, and it just kept drawing doors on it, like for people to go in and out. And it's just a log store. So it'd have like logs and a door in the middle. Oh, I just couldn't get rid of the door.
Yeah, it's like I'll put in 2 old men talking in France, and it'll always come up with 2 Eiffel Towers. Like they need one each.
I hope you know that every time you put in a request on that, it's like burning 3 trees or something like that. The carbon footprint of each request is so ridiculous. It's up there with just leaving your engine running for an hour or something.
Right.
Just literally, yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, I guess we're probably at the end of our session.
Once again, it's whizzed by, isn't it?
Yeah, a bit too quick.
So so to sum up, a good episode next week. Fingers crossed if it all
super
works as it's planned. Looking forward to that. As regards to current affairs, I guess we'll see, won't we?
Well, there's quite a lot going on at the moment.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. I think we ought to start stocking up on pasta and water and other non-perishables.
I'm going out in the garden with a shovel, building a shelter.
Yeah. If anything happens like that, I'll just open the tiki bar and break out the absinthe.
That's it. You should have one in a case in case of Trump's.
In case of emergency, break glass. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Good idea. All right, so hope you enjoyed that. I know I did. Sound like Robbie then, didn't I? I know I did. So if you'd like to give the video a thumbs up, that'd be great. Maybe share it on your socials. Press the notification bell so that you know when there's new content. And maybe think about subscribing if you're not subscribed already. And all that leaves to say, it's goodbye from me.
It's goodbye from him.
Goodbye.